So last week I showed you 3 simple persuasion tweaks, and when they were applied to a website, they increased that website's revenue by over £2 million per year without any extra spending on adverts, without any extra spending on marketing or anything like that. So today we're going to take persuasion beyond just websites, and we're going to look at how it applies to sales conversions. So you can close more leads and you can, make more sales using some of the exact psychological tips that I teach to my corporate clients. If you found last week's video valuable, this video this week is going to change your whole approach to getting leads and to selling as well. If you're new here, my name is Rob. Welcome. My job involves consulting for different businesses, for different organizations, where I teach them ethical persuasion techniques, and they can apply it to their sales, their marketing, also the strategy of their organization as well. To be clear, I don't sell any course. The only thing I do have is a book a call link, and purely that is because people have asked me to sell a course and I don't have time to do a course. So this means, and I'm pointing this out, this means I have zero incentive to hype you up on any of the things I'm selling. Everything here is science-backed, it's tested and works in real life sales scenarios because it's based on behavioral science. I'm pointing this out because a lot of people out there, they push a single solution to the problems, and they only push the solution because they're selling some sort of course. And I have no problem with course sellers, but I'm just pointing that out, that I'm not incentivized to give you specific information. I just think this stuff works because I've seen it work. So let's get into it. Principle number 1, and this is very, very important to understand. Humans have this innate psychological drive to remain consistent with their previous statements, with their previous choices, with their previous actions. People will generally do anything to remain consistent with what they have previously said. That's why it's very hard to actually get somebody in a debate. I'm sure you've seen it. You're having a debate or an argument with someone, it's very hard to actually get them to change their mind. Even when you present a person with facts, they almost double down on it. And this principle is called the commitment and consistency principle, which is a term popularized by one of my mentors, a person I've learned a lot from in masterminds and workshops, Robert Cialdini. And he wrote the book Influence. When a person isn't consistent with their actions, what they've said, it creates this mental pain called cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is something that people want to avoid at all times. So an example of cognitive dissonance in a person is a person going out to buy a brand new car that's quite expensive, and they know when they buy this car that they can't actually afford it. So right now they're experiencing this conflict between what they want to do, buying the car, and what they know their financial situation is. So this leads to like this mental discomfort. And rather than the person being like, you know what, I'm actually not going to buy this car because I obviously can't afford it, they will instead start justifying the purchase and being like, you know what, I have saved so much money recently, I've been really good with my spending. That is cognitive dissonance. So people, to continue being consistent and avoid cognitive dissonance, will do all sorts of mental gymnastics, and it's crazy to watch. We can do a deep dive on it in another video, but how does this apply to sales? Well, when a salesperson, a person who's trying to sell something to another person, what they typically do is they will pick up the phone or they will speak to the person they're trying to sell to face to face, and they will say things like, oh, this is the product, this is why it's good, this is, all the features, all the benefits of the product, blah, 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 and they will talk the other person's ear off. And what happens when it comes to the close of the sale? The other person doesn't buy. And they don't buy because they're not really invested in the process, and they haven't got any behaviors which would indicate that they are going to be consistent with buying this thing, that they have this need to be consistent with it. Following me so far? To use the consistency principle ethically in this scenario, and I've tested this over 1,000 sales calls of my own, it saw an 8% increase in conversions. I've also tested it with various sales and marketing teams as well that I've taught persuasion to. If you do this, you're going to get 8% more people likely to buy. So at the start of the sales call, at the start of the sales process, you ask them, you say, why are you here today? What do you actually need help with? And then they can tell you what they need help with. And then you say, okay, so, how come you're not doing this on your own right now? And then it turns out that they have done it on their own. They've tried to, but it's just not really worked out well for them. So instead, they have now sought help. And once they have admitted those things publicly rather than just thinking them, they are likely to convert at a much higher rate, because you'll get to the end of the call and you can say to them, you know, you've obviously been struggling with this for a while. It's not working, you doing this on your own. And you've told me, you know, this is what you're specifically struggling with. And now they're going to be consistent with it. It's almost a reminder to them because they've spoken out and they're like, yeah, you know what? And it prevents that phase of denial that a person goes through where they're like, I'm just going to continue doing what I've always done and it's never going to work. Now, that's an ethical way of doing that. And really, if you're doing a sales call, you should be finding out all of these things from the person anyway. It is only ethical for you to fully understand and explore the person's situation before you go ahead selling to them, because they might not need what you're selling as well. And that's up for you to decide. Now, I've taught you the offense of that technique now, how to be on the offensive. I'm actually going to teach you how to be on the defensive with it as well, to protect yourself from all the fake gurus and online gurus out there who are trying to sell to you unethically all the time. So one of the key ways that fake gurus will use the consistency principle to try to get you to buy their product. They will try and trap you in a form of identity using this commitment principle. So they will say things like, well, real winners act now. They'll say things like, if you are a man, you will be able to pay for everyone's food at the dinner table. You won't even think about it. You'll just put down your card, because that's what a real man does. He takes care of his family. Now, do you want to buy my course to be that real man so you can, you know, improve your income when you take this course? That is a way that they're using the consistency and commitment principle against you. And what they're doing, and why I think it's manipulative and unethical, is because they are using your status, your ego, and they are turning it in on you. Because every person is like, oh yeah, I want to take care of my family. You know, I feel I am a man, so like I want to feel like a man as well. And they are essentially challenging your masculinity and getting you to commit to that, which makes it easier for you to buy down the road. Just me telling you that will actually make you more aware of it and make you have some sort of defense to it, just so you don't get ripped off, guys, basically. These things, when I tell you, sound extremely logical, but the psychology says that when people are in these situations, they still take action, because what people feel, what people think logically when they're not, you know, in that scenario is very different things. So hopefully that helps you. Sales persuasion principle number 2. People have this tendency to essentially prioritize what they immediately want at the moment, their immediate pleasures, over the future benefits themselves. This is called, from behavioral economics, the present bias. And even when future outcomes are far more important than spending right now. So say like if you go to a store and you want to buy a big purchase and it's something that you don't need, a brand new TV when you've already got one, you know, and rather than putting that money towards a house deposit, which is the long-term proper thing to do, you end up spending this money on a TV instead that you don't need, right? That is an example of where present bias is happening, and you are prioritizing what you want immediately rather than thinking about the future. So there is good research out there which show that basically people go cold because they get distracted by things. And I've done a lot of research for various different organizations on this. But one of the things which we notice is that when there is big distractions in the world, people end up essentially not buying during those big distractions. So if it's summer outside, they don't end up buying because they're distracted by going outside in the nice sunshine, right? So the reason why you need to know this principle is because if you have a person that's interested in whatever you're selling, you've got to act quickly, okay? There is so many organizations that I believe lose millions a year. These are organizations who have been in sales and marketing for a while. And when they have their booking calendar open, they will leave spaces for the entire month open because they think the more spaces that are available, the more options it gives for people to actually book a call. But what psychology actually shows is that if somebody doesn't book within the next few days, A, it's probably not that important to them. And B, if a person books next week rather than in the next 3 to 4 days, their close rate and their actual show up rate for the call goes way down. I'm talking from 95% to 10% chance of showing up for a call if it's like 7 days out. I know this. I've seen the data. And then the reason why is because the iron has gone cold and they have lost focus. They have become distracted. And so the last persuasion sales principle that I'm going to give you in this call is scarcity. Now, scarcity is one of these things which is extremely powerful. However, people are so amateur with persuasion principles. They learn about scarcity online, they learn about urgency, and they apply them to their business, but they apply them wrong, and they apply them in the wrong situation. And what actually happens is they get less sales because of them wrongly applying scarcity, them wrongly applying urgency. So scarcity is when something has limited numbers. For instance, you could be trying to buy something on Amazon and it's only got a few items left. My partner has been wanting to get married for a long time now, and we're finally gonna do it, right? And we were looking at a bunch of different wedding venues, and I don't think these wedding venues appreciate just how savvy negotiators, both, me and my partner, she works with businesses, I work with businesses. And so when we were going in, we were giving them a hard time about what we want and like what range of price we wanted as well. But the venue that eventually got us ethically applied scarcity and urgency to the situation. They says, hey, we're going to do this after some negotiation. We're going to do this for you, and we're going to do it for the exact price that you want. But you need to act today and you need to sign it. Otherwise, the deal's off, right? And guess what happened? We actually then booked with that venue as well. So, crazy, right? They got us with that scarcity, even though I knew what was happening, even though I know all about the persuasion principles, and so does she as well. We still decided that was the best venue for us. Okay. Now, people use scarcity incorrectly. Rather than saying they've got a few items left on a website, or rather than saying they're closing the doors to their program at a certain point, they will get on the call to a client and they will say things like, you've got 10 minutes to decide. If you tell that to a person who you're trying to sell to, a serious buyer, a buyer who is of a good age as well, who has heard techniques like that before, they are going to shut you out. They are going to be like, well, I'm not going to make that deal with you. I'm not going to buy from you. And the reason why I'm not going to buy from you is because I feel like you're trying to push me. There's a difference between scarcity applied ethically and being overly pushy and manipulative. And people confuse this all the time. There's a good example of Andrew Tate unethically applying urgency and scarcity. And I give this example because he's a well-known figure. And in this case here, he has unethically applied the persuasion principle. And as a result, I believe, I don't know what his figures look like, but I believe he has probably lost a bunch of trust with it from the people who've actually viewed this video.
The system which is designed to keep you as a slave is strong. It's designed to keep most of the people at the bottom slaving away. The matrix is weak now. You have an opportunity now to make more money than you've ever had in your entire life. You need to start preparing for the impending fiscal doom. Most Joe Schmoes of Earth are waiting to be crushed. Hustlers University, this is the only school online that's going to teach you exactly what to do to make sure you are not crushed along with the normies. And if you're sitting here and you've watched this video and you do not take the steps as a full-grown adult to educate yourself about your impending doom, you deserve what happens to you.
So you see that he's telling you that you are going to be crushed if you don't act now, right? Now, logically, people are going to be like, well, I'm obviously not going to be crushed, right? Obviously, it gets people on the defensive straight away. So it's a real bad way of trying to apply scarcity. It's designed to trigger anxiety. It's designed to, force people over the edge who are feeling very uncertain about life, right? That's manipulation, right? So defense for this as well is for you to logically step back and think about the situation. If somebody is applying scarcity to you right now, you can say to them, hey, you know what? So you said that there's only a few items of this available. I can always wait, right? You just take a step back. And you also think from the angle of they're telling you consequences will happen if you don't take action right now. Are those consequences likely to happen? Are you really going to get crushed by the matrix? When you just think like this for just a second, it allows your logical brain to take over, and it actually protects you from any gurus online trying to sell you things that you don't want to buy, okay? So as a quick recap, get prospects to state their needs clearly to you. That helps with the commitment principle. Understand that people go cold, so get those short booking windows in, and with scarcity as well. Create those legitimate events, never fake ones, and also remember all the techniques that I've taught you to protect yourself from any online gurus trying to sell you BS. These techniques are all based in behavioral science. They are all well founded in literature. This isn't just my opinion. I have applied these to my own business. I've applied these to various different organizations as well, ethically, and they've got great results out of it. And you can apply this to your own business today. It's free, it's cheap, and also as well, you now know how to protect yourself from it. If you enjoyed this video, leave me a comment, leave me a like. Take it easy, guys. See you in the next one.